Actually, a quick reminder to use Twitter. If you are Twitter peoples, do hashtag SSACon. Yeah, hashtag SSACon. Take pictures, all that kind of fun stuff. Just a reminder on that. So our next speaker is Faisal Saeed Al-Mutar, who is a community manager at movements.org, is a columnist for Free Inquiry, and runs the Global Secular Humanist Movement, and is a fantastic activist on the global level, and that's what he's going to be talking about today, is secular activism on the global level. So welcome, Faisal.
Hello, everyone. Having a good time in this conference? Yeah. I guess I'm the only tired one. I came from New York, and like the flight just stuck in the plane. I got stuck in the plane for like 2 hours because there was so much air traffic. So, which kind of, yeah, because New York is a global city, and which is a problem. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, about the global issues that I would say that generally tend to be ignored in some of the domestic American conferences. And I'm trying to shed a light on the human rights abuses that's facing our fellow secularists around the world. And that's why, as he said, I'm generally focused on that because I would say there are two main reasons, because I actually, if you cannot notice from the accent, I'm not really American. And also, I was in a situation when I grew up in Iraq that I needed a sense of solidarity and support that I didn't get. So while I came here to the United States, the first thing I thought about was, what can I do to help the folks who are still living in I would say, the dark part of the world, which I'm going to talk about today. Is not I'm going to focus on the global as all countries, but I'm mostly going to focus on closed societies. And there are 13 countries, if I get them correctly, that executes people for being atheists. You can make your guesses which religion is really the one that executes people for being atheists. I don't need to make an introduction, not to sound Islamophobic. So there are parts of the world in which just being an atheist or being a blogger or being a writer can get you killed. One of the most recent cases, which I've been very much involved in, is the Bengali bloggers that are facing, about roughly 4 were killed. And many of them now are living in fear, and they constantly send me emails about their life, and they're like escaping from place to place. And I help with some. I mean, I'm really disappointed with myself because I generally do a lot, but is that we help publishing some of the bloggers on major news media to the way that some of these bloggers were able to escape and get asylum in the Western world. So how did that process happen? And which is the question about what is the solution? Because now many people look at the Middle East, look at Southeast Asia, and they're stuck, in my opinion, between 2 bad choices. Is that you either have military dictatorship like Bashar al-Assad, Sisi in Egypt, previously Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi, and all of these folks, or you have the unnamed Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, and Al-Qaeda, and all of these terrorist groups. So what it seems to be that there are only 2 options, is that you only have the terrorists on one side, and you have the dictatorships on the other. But there are many people who are being left out by this binary way of thinking, which are, in my opinion, the good guys, the people who believe in women's rights, the people who believe in LGBT rights, the people who believe in individual freedom, freedom of speech. All of these are being left out, while it's much easier for you to start a terrorist group in Iraq right now than to start a secular group. It's much easier to say you have Iran on one side that supports Shia militias, and you have Saudi Arabia and Qatar on the other side that supports Sunni militias. And the people who are left out, and who are the people who believe in these values, are being left behind. So I started working on a project which was first started by Google Ideas, and now acquired by an organization called Advancing Human Rights, which already had previous projects about helping dissidents around the world. It's called movements.org. And what we do in movements.org is kind of actually maybe a funny story to say, but we do what we call the match.com for human rights. So what we do is we not really get people, secularists, to date each other, even though that would be wonderful, but we help people in closed societies by connecting them to the people who are in open societies who want to help them. So for example, one of the cases I worked on, as I mentioned, the one in Bengali. So she sent me the article in Bengali, I think that's the language, and there's somebody on the website offered to translate the article from Bengali to English. And then there's somebody also said, I want to edit this article to make it look more beautiful so more people can read it. And then we also have a partnership with the Daily Beast that published this article. So there are 3 people who don't know each other at all, living in free societies, work together, and help 2 Bengali bloggers to escape Bangladesh and get asylum in Sweden. So this is what actually my full-time job. It may sound fun, but it's sometimes depressing. Because there are so many cases right now, and there are so many people looking for help, while what we do have on the provider side is much less. So what I'm trying to do is get more people engaged in that. So we're not really asking people to donate money and give us $1 million, even though that will be wonderful. But at the same time, we ask people to donate their skills, because always the most question I get when I give speeches around the country is, what can I do? What can I do? It looks so hopeless. There's hardly anything I can do. It looks like what I call a clusterfuck. That you can hardly, it looks like a very sad place, and there's no good guys. And we always see what we see on the news is ISIS, Bashar al-Assad, ISIS, Bashar al-Assad. We always see the bad guys. We don't hear about the Iraqi organization that help women's rights in Baghdad. You don't hear about the heroes in Iran who are trying to create reform in their countries. You only hear about Iranian nuclear deal, and you hear about a bunch of fascists and ayatollahs. So this is my own theory, is that while it's easier to start a terrorist group in the Middle East than to start a secular one, it's now the rule, or I would say the moral responsibility for the people in the secular world, in the free societies, to try to help their fellows in the closed societies, and to create a sense of solidarity. Unfortunately, the logo, I couldn't put it over there, which I call the Global Secular Humanist Movement, in which all secularists around the world, all united together to create a sense of solidarity to move things forward, because our cause is the same. I mean, unfortunately, it may look, it's much harder for other people than here in the free world, but at the same time, even here in the free world, in the United States, and I've been living here for about 2 years, we still have our problems. Obviously, we don't have the same problems. I mean, Ted Cruz, with all his lack of intelligence, is still far much better than Ayatollahs. But at the same time, they are still anti-constitution. They still want to impose their own religion on the rest of humanity. So while the cases the enemy are called the values that these people share tend to be different in terms of name, in terms of values, but at the same time, they're all united to impose their own authoritarian doctrines on others. And it's time for us to stand up. And I got, sorry if my speech looks disorganized, but I got like a recent question I got recently. I always answer the same thing. He told me, like, what's it like being atheist in the Middle East? And I said, it's like being the only sober person in a car filled with drunk people, and you're not allowed to drive. So I hope you join me in the fight, and thank you so much for listening, and may science and reason bless the United States of America. Thank you.